Hello YouTube, what's a poppin'? Tonight we're going to do another critical review, and this is my Critics Fedora. Yes, this will be a continuation of my Breaking Bad series. Tonight we're going to do Hank Schrader. Now, Hank Schrader was Walter White's brother-in-law through marriage. He was married to Walter White's wife's sister, and he was the guy that introduced Walter White into meth manufacturing and dealing. Yes, he was the guy that turned Walter White into a drug dealer and manufacturer. How did this happen? Well, it was the beginning of the series, and Walter White just found out he had cancer, told his family, and he was trying to figure out ways to pay for it because he can only get partial payment because he's a teacher and he's got insurance through the school he teaches at, and he works part-time at a car wash. And he's trying to figure out ways to pay for the rest of this because Walter White is the kind of guy that does not accept anything from anybody. He has a lot of pride. Well, anyway, back to the main point. They're watching TV, and Hank Schrader points at the TV and is like, this guy made millions of dollars by manufacturing meth. And you could just see Walter White's eyes just light up in his head as he comes up with this light bulb idea. And Hank Schrader takes him out on a stakeout. And this is where Walter White finally gets a tiny bit of a feel for what these guys do. And from then on, Walter White's journey starts because of Hank Schrader. Now, Hank Schrader's character was that of a cop. In fact, he was a detective, a very high-ranking detective, and he was very good at his job. But the only problem he had was he was addicted to violence. Now, yes, he's a police officer. He has to be violent. That's understandable. But this guy had a huge penchant for violence. Here's a key scene. Him and Walter White are at a bar. Walter White walks off, and you see Hank Schrader just sitting at a seat at a table, and he sees these three guys. He looks at them, and he's like, want to take me on? And so he proceeds to beat the shit out of all three of them. I mean, you know immediately that this is the kind of guy you don't want to fuck with, because he will fuck you up badly. And I think this penchant for violence comes from the fact that although he has a tough job, where he has to resort to violence on a daily basis, basically, he also kind of never wanted to be a cop. At least that's what's implied in the show. Because there's a scene in one of the episodes where he's in his garage, and he has this assembly line, and you see beers going down this assembly line. And this is kind of a hint that tells you that Hank Schrader originally wanted to be a brewer, or he wanted to work in a brewery. So really, being a cop is just a way for him to make money. It was a job that he had to take so that way he could support a family, because he chose, like a lot of other Americans, to go into a field that would pay a lot of money. A hard field. Nonetheless, a safe field. At least that's what I got. But anyway, I think that's partially the reason why he was violent, but either way, he is a very violent guy. You do not want to get on his bad side. He's also the most tense of all the characters on the show, because his job is to find this Heisenberg. He doesn't even know until like the last season that Heisenberg is Walter White. So he has that going for him. He has to find out that his own family member is the guy he's looking for. And he's the guy behind all of these deaths that you see in the show. So you have that. And then you have the fact that he has to also deal with this cat and mouse game that Heisenberg puts him through routinely. And then when he finally does find out that Heisenberg is Walter White, holy shit. It doesn't dawn on him immediately, though. He suspects it, but then he thinks it through. And then he just fucking explodes. And then he has Walter White within his grasp. Now, is he one of my favorite characters? No. But to me, he's one of the more middlebrow. He's more of a medium character. I kind of liked him. Some of the characteristics, like consistency, he had that going for him. But as for, a great character, I don't think so. He was just as flawed as the other characters. Like I said, he loved violence, and even for violence sake. The man was a torn character between his job and his livelihood and a wife that was a kleptomaniac, because that's another issue he had to deal with on a daily basis, was the fact that his wife liked to steal things, and they always had to constantly go to therapy over that. So yeah, Hank Schrader, the character, the guy, the police officer, the man who had to track down Heisenberg. Yes. This will be it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching.